Hey there, this is Susan with Colorful Expressions. Today, I'm finally going to make my junk journal cover. I went ahead and put my colorful pages into signatures. There's 5 papers and 4 signatures for 20 sides, just like the Defemember journals are. I haven't decided what order to put them in yet, but I've got them folded. This took me forever, so I didn't want to put you through the torture of watching all of that. I have an Amazon package cover that I'm going to use for a squishy journal. I've already unglued the sides. This is going to be my boho cover. It is a silk dupioni cushion cover. I bought this pillow at the thrift store for $1.98. It is 50% silk, 50% polyester, made in India. And I was going to take my seam ripper and very carefully pull it apart, but my eyesight's no longer good enough to see the stitches. The dupioni is very reflective and the stitches just hide in it. So I'm going to take my good fabric scissors, my gingers, never use these on paper, and carefully cut it apart. I've got my fabric cut apart and I was able to cut the ribbon off without losing too many beads. And then I'm going to wrap the beads around a card. This is just a club cracker spine. I cut apart my boxes because I like to make them into artist trading cards. I am not going to go to the store and buy a bunch of 2x3 cardboard when I've got it sitting around the house all over the place. I have a whole bag of just boxes and cardboard scraps. Let me move this up a little bit. Come on. It was difficult cutting this off too because this is very ravelly fabric. But I managed it without making too big of a mess. And I'll store this in my ribbon and odds and ends box. I don't have a lot of ribbon. I don't usually use it. Like I said, I'm more of an art journaler than a junk journaler, so I have very few real junk journal supplies other than tons and tons of ephemera from basically my life. And that's why I want to make some junk journals, is to document my life and put it all in these pretty books. But it's going to be a lot of crossover between junk and art journaling. So I've got my beads, going to set them aside, my fabric, and then I did the math, and my spine is going to be 3 inches thick. It's going to be 1/2 inch between the signatures, 4 signatures. So I added 3 inches to an 11 by 8.5 piece of paper. Plus I tore it slightly taller, and the fabric wrapping around it and everything will make it a little bit taller still. And that's what I cut out of my Amazon package. I chose the Amazon package side that didn't have the label on it, just to make things easier. Now, and thankfully my fabric is big enough. I had to clean off all of my threads, driving me crazy. The way that Barbara does it is she paints the glue on one section at a time and lays the fabric over that. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use my tacky glue and I will get it a little bit wet. This is a porcelain soy sauce bowl. I bought them on Amazon and I use them for a lot of the messier things because they're very easy to clean up. You can put acrylic paints in here. You can put glue. You can put gouache, and since they're so smooth, they're very easy to clean. And I always have a little squeeze bottle of water because it's not likely to be spilled. Got it in my little glue caddy over here. And this is an old Angelus shoe paint brush. And I use it for really messy stuff like glue and gesso and matte medium. In this case, I'm going to use it for glue and then make sure and clean it up immediately. I think it needs to be thicker. This is my first time, y'all, so I may screw up royally. Who knows? I need to just get some plain old Elmer's. I had a bottle of Elmer's, but then when I tried to use it, it was solid. So that bottle was probably ancient. All right. I want to have plenty of overlap in order to glue it down on the inside as well. I wonder if you can use matte medium. You know it's my favorite. Okay. I'm going to use the stitched side for the cover and the unstitched side if I have enough for the inside cover. And we're going to overlap it by about an inch on top on all sides, right there. Oops, that's not sticking at all. Okay. All right, let's try pure glue. I'm going to just let you watch me struggle. In case any of you are brand new to this like I am. Come on. I have a piece of glass I can use as a craft mat. And I tried to... Oh. Huh. I did the wrong side down, but I like the color on the back better. All right. I'm just going to continue. Okay, that's sticking much better. I had it diluted too much. If this fabric doesn't work, we'll just add some more on top. I'm going to use up a whole bottle of glue on this cover. Sorry, y'all, but I'm cheap. I think I have some actual fabric glue somewhere in my sewing supplies. All right. I'm going to leave this on its side so I don't have to. Okay, now on the back side, I'm going to go ahead and put this on some wax paper because we're going to press it down. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over, and I did a bad job there. Oh well. We're going to fold it over and glue it down on all sides, and then press it. And on the corners, I'm going to tack the corners down and then fold. Let me show you here. Come on. I'm glad I diluted some of that glue because a wet brush plus the glue makes it pretty much the perfect thickness. All right, I'll fold the corner in first. And I didn't cut any of that off. Just use it for reinforcement. And then fold the top cover over. Let's spread that glue a little bit more. Now we're going to cover this. I was going to use the fabric, but because this is so fragile, I think I'm going to use either a different fabric like cotton or some heavy paper. And we're going to fold this over the corner. It's rather small. That's my bad. And then fold this. I'm storing the glue upside down, trying to remember to. All right. We'll fold this in first. And then glue the fabric. I should not have picked such a challenging fabric for my first time. I should have gone with some of my quilting cotton, which is very fine and very close woven. It doesn't make such a ravelly mess. All right. I am not going to sew around the edges. I have my grandmother's 1957 sewing machine, and I have a rather expensive Bernina, and it's for garment sewing, and I really do not want to put paper through it. And I'm not going to buy a cheap sewing machine just for crafts, so I'm just going to forego any kind of sewing in the junk journaling, and that's okay. I'll figure out a different way to embellish. I don't really do dangles and things like that very much, but I do like metal embellishments and things like that that are glued on. All right, let's see if we can get this corner prettified here. It's hard to tell if this will look good or not because of all of the glue. All right, tuck that in. All right, glue that down. Whoops. Come on, get all the way in. Now let's hope we didn't lose too much size. This is a 9 by 14 inches. Yep, 9 by 14, because that's your 11.5 or 8.5 by 11 plus 3 inches wide plus 1/2 inch tall. So you have a little bit of overhang. Whoops. Got to rinse out my glue. Rinse the glue out of my rag here. All right. I'm going to cover it with wax paper. And use my handy dandy giant dictionary to press it. And I'll find another large book. This one's really heavy. It's got really good paper. So now we're going to let it dry and hope that it looks halfway decent. If not, I'll be starting over. Wish me luck. While my covers are drying, I am going to start on the signatures. I have a hole punch tool that I have to use a hammer with. I don't have a crocodile or I don't know what it's called. Crocodile. And so I punched holes. Now I saw this tip on another YouTube channel is rather than go through the middle, and I'm only going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, a very simple one, because I don't have small pieces of paper. My signatures are all the same size. So I don't need 5 holes to hold everything together. Plus I want to keep it simple for my first try. I have made journals before, just not a junk journal. I've stitched together art booklets, etc. So I have, the tip is that the middle hole should be higher than rather than in the middle. In that case, then when you put your signatures aside and you pick them up later, you can tell at a glance where the top is, because it's the one with the smallest gap. And I thought that was really a good idea. So I am going to punch holes in the rest of my signatures now, and I'll be back in a second. I don't want to make that kind of noise for you. So, and you can see I have fairly thick thread, so I used a second to the smallest hole punch. I've punched all of my signatures and get them back in order. This is the top, and I'm making sure that they're relatively lined up. Now, my measurements were off a little bit, but the top is 1 inch. The top hole is 1 inch from the top edge, and then the second one is 3.5 inches from the top edge, and the third one is slightly less than 7.5 inches. If I'd done this correctly, it should be 7.5 inches. But I went with my holes and I lined them up to make sure that my grid would be correct. I'm going to leave a 1/2 inch gap for now. I'll trim it off later, and then my signatures will be here and then in 1/2 inch increments. So I got to measure. Using a smaller ruler sure would help. There we go. So this is 1/2 inch in, but I am going to trim it later. We're just going to glue it to the back. And then we're going to do a 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here, and signature number 4, 1/2 inch. And then this will be the edge of our paper. Do it here too. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and then edge. I'm making that line a little bit longer. It's 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, edge. Now we're just going to go down our edge here and trim it off. Not with the fabric scissors, which are right next to me. We're going to use the there we go. And now I'm going to save this. I can make an artist trading card or something else with it. By the way, this was the back of a paper pad, and that's why it's 8.5 inches, because the whole thing was a paper pad at one time, which made it convenient to use for this. Now I'm going to pause and punch holes in all of these intersections for our spine. I don't want to make noise and blow out your eardrums. Okay, I pulled out my waxed thread and I have my signatures ready, and my holes are punched into my spine. This will be glued onto the back of your cover, or on the inside of your cover in the middle of the journal. And leave yourself a good tail. This stuff is waxed bookbinding thread. It's kind of stiff and thick. A lot of people use, I see people use twine, regular twine. They also use embroidery thread. I have a lot of this, so I'm just going to use it. And it's usually three lengths per signature. 2, 3. And that's, I already have a tail, so I don't need to do any extra. Now you take your first signature, and this will be the front of the cover, the one on the left. And you start, line up make sure your paper is all lined up. I punched the holes so it would make it easy to thread everything. Go front to back. Leave a tail and hold on to it. And then now we're going to go back to the inside. So go to the top, go inside, pull it until it's a little bit tight. You don't have to pull very tight at this stage. And then in your bottom hole, go all the way to the bottom, inside to out, through the bottom spine hole. Come back to the middle hole. And see, we're going back to the middle hole and go through. Yeah, this one's hard to see. There it is. Go to the inside. And I used way too much thread. I've got too much of a tail. That's okay. It can be used. Now you pull it tight. You don't want to crumple your paper or tear your paper, but it should be fairly tight. And you want the threads, the tails, to be on either side. Let's cut off our excess here. And you want them to be on either side of the middle page because we're going to tie a square knot. Square knot. Okay, left over right, loop through, and put your finger down there and then just, whoops, tighten. Okay, now we're doing right over left. It's just the opposite way. And that will create a knot that will not come out. You can use it for knitting, crochet. It's a very strong knot. And these are on there. Here's the top. So our first signature is in place. And then you do the same thing with the other three. So measure out your thread. 1, 2, 3. And I'll speed this up. Okay, so we're done. We've got them all in their signatures with plenty of room, so this can get nice and chunky. I really like it. And I'm not sure if I'll trim it or just let it go because it is 1/2 inch from each edge. This one looks a little bit wider. This one's about of 1/8 too wide, so I'll trim that off and keep them. Well, and this one's 1/8 of an inch too narrow. I'm not good at measuring apparently, but even so, I managed to get a journal made. So, or at least my signature's put together on a spine. Then I am going to continue to let my cover dry And when it's ready to go, we will continue with the inside of the journal and putting the signatures inside the cover. The cover is dry. The glue really did a number on this silk. Note to self, don't use glue and Dupioni silk. Not a good combination. But I was thinking of distressing this. We can put gold paint over it, any other distressed materials, make it look grungy, put some paint on it, and then it'll look like it's on purpose. So it's nice and stiff. Now I went ahead and measured where my middle signature piece is going to go, and I'm going to glue this down, and then I'm going to find some pages. I'm going to actually use paper, not fabric, and glue the insides with matte medium. Do I have this? I'm trying to figure out which one I want as my cover. I want the one that's a little more red, so that's going to be on the left. And the top is up this way, because we see the smaller gap is on top. That is the coolest hint I've ever seen. So we're going to glue this down, and I'm going to press it with my dictionary. Let's see, I need some clamps. Which I have. How am I going to do this? All right. We're just going to start and see how it goes. I'm going to try the clear gel tacky glue on this one. I'm not going to spread it with a brush. I'm just going to glue it this way. Maybe spread it a little bit with my finger. There we go. This is the one that really needs to stick down hard. All right, I'm just gonna wipe my finger off on the thing. This is the top, and I drew a line right down the side there so I wouldn't know what my guide was. Put that on top. Go up just a little bit more. There we go. How does this work? There we go. Yep, that'll work. See what happens when you follow instructions? It actually comes together. Thank you, Barbara. I will link the journal making video that she had that I followed to make this in the description. Glue seems to be moving pretty fast. All right, and I've got glue on my paper. Hold it down for a minute and see how the front's doing. It's also got some glue on it. Oh gosh. I know what I'll do. There. Let it dry. So while that dries, I'm going to look for some paper to use as my inside papers. I also trimmed the cardboard strip to be even. That one that was a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 of an inch too long, I trimmed it off. Alright, I found 2 pages that are done on printer paper, so they're a little bit heavier. These are gel prints, and I'm going to cut them down and glue them. This one coordinates with this page. This one coordinates a bit with the purple that's on the back. So that's how, let's see. Yeah. And see, it's going to glue over the ends of the fabric as well, and it's going to butt up against and cover most of that cardboard. There we go. And actually the other end is rounded, so we'll use the rounded side. And for this, I'm going to use my matte medium because it's more suited to paper. Where's my brush? This one will work. I don't think matte medium is strong enough to hold down that silk, so that would not have been the right choice to glue the cover down. But it's definitely strong enough to hold down paper, and I'm going to cover it with a book and let it dry, probably until tomorrow. And what we'll do is I'm going to decorate the cover, and I don't even have a cover piece for it yet, but I'm going to split this into 2 videos. So this is the making of the cover, and the next video will be decorating the cover. And then we'll finally be able to have a journal that we can junk journal in. All right, I want to make sure you cover the paper as well and all the way to the edges. I'm going to butt that up against the cardboard as far as it'll go. And then this is a little irregular. We can always, if it really starts to look bad, we can always collage on top of it. Nothing's ever final in a junk journal, I don't think. I need to make more purple pages. I'm just looking to see that it's the equidistant. There we go. And we'll slide it in that way. Whoops, it won't work that way. So my back cover is a little crooked. Not surprising. Slide it in as deep as it'll go. Whoops. Come on. There we go. I just didn't tear straight. That's what I didn't do. Oh, I put it in wrong again. That's why. Alright, straight side out this one. There we go, that fits. Whoops. Okay. So once again, I'm going to put my heavy books on either side with some wax paper, and I'm going to let it dry overnight, and tomorrow in the morning I'll film a quick flip through, and then the video should go up sometime tomorrow. And tomorrow I'll show you a flip through of how it turned out. Here's my finished journal, and in the next video we will decorate it. I need to clean off my mat, it's a mess. And so let's do a quick flip through. It's a little bit wonky, but I like it. It took me so long to decide what order, I love this page, to put these colorful pages in. There's our first signature. This one's a little bit paler. I did that on purpose. I love this page. I put my favorite pages in the middle so that they'd be double spreads. This one, it's just gorgeous. I've got snippets of fabric everywhere. I won't be using this kind of fabric again for a cover, but it will work out in the end. So there's our decorated papers, some plain papers. See, this one had 2 different colors. And then this is the center. I love this color. This is one of my favorites. I say that about all colors, don't I? All colors are my favorite. As long as they're not coffee stained. That's not my favorite. Okay, so it's a little wonky. The cover's a little weird, but I am going to embellish and decorate the cover in my next video, which will be next Wednesday. So from now on, I'll be uploading once a week on Wednesdays. So please look forward to that and like and subscribe. Thank you.